Have you ever thought, I need more speaking topics, when what you actually need is one really solid presentation? Welcome to the Confident Speaker Podcast by Speaking Your Brand. This is your host, AI Carol. One of the most common questions I get is, how do I come up with multiple speaking topics? I don't want to just talk about one thing, but here's the truth. If you build one strong, structured presentation, you can turn it into 10 different speaking topics. The key isn't creating more content, it's learning how to expand and contract what you already have. Let me explain. When we work with clients on their signature talk, we often use a simple 3-act structure. Act 1 sets up the audience's goal, the obstacles, and the real problem. Act 2 is your solution, your framework, your process, your key ideas. Act 3 is the reward and the call to action. When that structure is solid, it becomes modular, and that's what allows you to multiply it into new speaking topics. I remember working with a client who had a leadership framework with 5 pillars. She thought she needed 5 separate talks from scratch, but instead we zoomed out. Her full framework became a 45-minute keynote. Then each pillar became its own breakout session topic. And for a shorter conference session, we focused deeply on just 2 of the 5 pillars, same content, different entry points. So how do you do this for yourself? Here are 3 practical ways to turn one presentation into multiple speaking topics. First, zoom in and zoom out. Your full framework might make a great keynote or workshop, but each key point inside that framework can become its own focused talk. Let's say you have 3 core ideas in your methodology. Idea 1 can be a standalone presentation. Idea 2 can be for a different audience. Idea 3 might even target a more advanced group. When you zoom in, you go deeper instead of broader. You share more examples, more stories, more case studies around that one idea. When you zoom out, you give a broader overview of the entire framework. This immediately creates multiple topic options without reinventing anything. Second, tailor the angle for different audiences. The core problem you solve may be universal, but how it shows up varies. For example, if your talk is about productivity, your general session might be how to create sustainable productivity. But for executives, it could be how leaders model sustainable productivity. For entrepreneurs, it could be avoiding burnout while scaling your business. The structure of the talk stays the same. The stories, examples, and language shift to match the audience. This is what I call adjusting the lens. You're not changing your expertise. You're simply highlighting the aspects most relevant to the room you're in. Third, expand or contract the depth. Once you have your signature talk mapped out, especially if you've designed it intentionally with a balance of key points, supporting examples, stories, and audience engagement, you can easily adjust based on the time slot. Got 60 minutes? Dive into all 3 key points. Only 30 minutes? Focus on 2 and remove some examples. Need a 2-hour workshop? Add exercises, group discussions, and case studies to deepen learning. Your core intellectual property stays intact. You're just flexing it. And here's something important. This works best when your presentation isn't just random information strung together. If your slides look like a dissertation and your talk feels like, and here's another thing, it's much harder to repurpose it. But when you build your presentation like a narrative with a clear beginning, middle, and end, you create a foundation that's flexible. You're not creating disconnected talks. You're creating a body of work. I want you to shift your mindset from I need more topics to I need one strong framework. Because once that framework is clear, you can turn it into a keynote, break it into breakout sessions, expand it into workshops, adapt it for panels, repurpose it for webinars or podcast interviews. This is how you scale your speaking without burning yourself out. So here's my invitation for you. Look at your current presentation. Ask yourself, what are the 1-3 core ideas inside this talk? Which one could stand alone? Which audience could benefit from a slightly different angle? You probably already have more speaking topics than you realize. If you'd like support creating or refining your signature talk so it becomes this flexible, powerful foundation for your speaking, you can find ways to work with us at speakingyourbrand.com. And if this episode gave you clarity, make sure you're following the Confident Speaker Podcast on Apple Podcast or Spotify. There's so much more to help you step into thought leadership with confidence. This on-demand episode was generated by my AI voice clone, trained on speaking your brand content.